Can you hear us, Mark?
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Thank you.
Yep.
No, artifacts. Yeah, she was just sitting, I said, yeah, sure.
Yeah, see, I didn't know.
This looks all right. Without amendment. And do the same on these two. And then we can
I'm moving to Sinclair. Drink your hot chocolate.
Yeah.
It will relax you. And I did put cream on top.
I don't want to.
It's not too hot.
I don't want to be like spitting it out. 'Cause it's just
It isn't. It had cream on top. So it,
You know, right?
Thank you so much. Yeah, they do have the best hot chocolate.
can make her do them all. For what? Yeah, no, right, yeah. I figured, that's why I wanted to ask, just to make sure we weren't getting someone new in there.
Yeah, no.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. 1 minute.
If the council could please turn their microphones on, we'll do a sound check with Mark.
Already did.
I can hear you.
Perfect, thank you, Mark.
And we can hear you.
And everybody else can hear him too, correct? Okay, perfect. So, it's our time, is it? You ready? Yep. Good evening. I'd like to welcome, I'll open the Monday, March 27th, 2023 City Council meeting. I note here, we'll do the roll call. All councilors are present. Councilor Gaughan is joining us via Zoom. And on item number 2, I have the invocation and inspirational thought. We have Ron Rosser here. I'll let you formally introduce yourself and your parish, and he's going to lead us in invocation this evening.
I'm Ron Rosser. I'm retired actually from the Woodland First Baptist Church.
Okay.
When you get old, they put you out to pasture there, and but I do online ministry now, and I would like to, before I begin tonight, if I may, take this liberty. I would ask that we have a moment of silence for the deceased Caribou Fire Captain Daniel Raymond. Danny loved and served and protected our community and citizens, and I know most of us will miss him. Heavenly Father, as these servants now serve our community through their governance and leadership, we ask that you bless and strengthen each of them. Help them to govern with prudence and wisdom, neither fearing nor favoring any other in their pursuits of doing what is right, compassionate, and just. Help we, the citizens, to appreciate the efforts of not only these, but all who serve us and their families. Protect our protectors, Father. Inspire our leaders. We give you and them our thanks and respect for their service. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. If everybody would please rise as they're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, public forum,
We do have someone on Zoom.
we do, okay, so we'll start with the Zoom on the public forum, please.
Hi, my name is Sarah Love. I believe my husband is in attendance in person right now as well. I got some very interesting news today, and I had to do a lot of phone calls, and I was told to pop into the Zoom tonight. And because it's a really upsetting matter, I'm going to read what I wrote, and I might cry because that's just how I am, and I apologize ahead of time. Dear City of Caribou, my name is Sarah Love, formerly Sarah Evans of Caribou, Maine. My mother was Rita Evans, who sadly passed away in June of 2019. My mother owned 46 Collins Street in Caribou, a house she had purchased for me, my husband, and our 4 children as we moved back to Caribou from Arizona to help care for her and my dad, who had declining health. Just before her death, I accepted a teaching position in Madawaska and was about to close on a large house, enough for my family and my parents to live in. However, my mom died in June, and I had to move to a new town and start a new job and figure out what to do with 46 Collins Street quickly. Our neighbors approached my husband saying that they wanted to rent to own the property and that they would pay us rent, pay taxes, and cover the insurance on the home. Needless to say, they did not follow through with their commitment. We have been trying to get them out of the house for over a year and finally sent out an eviction notice in November of 2022. Given that we moved to Standish in August of 2022, we have been unable to be present to enforce the eviction. However, they moved out of the home just recently. My husband drove to Caribou this morning with the intention of changing the locks, winterizing the home, and having Dobbs Realty list the property. However, Dobbs called back a few minutes later and informed me the property is owned by the City of Caribou because it is 3 years behind on taxes. I suspected the house might be behind 2 years, and we were ready to pay the back taxes. I did not know that 3 years ago all but $200 had been paid. We would have covered this if we had known. My husband is present at tonight's meeting with a check for $5,300.37 in hand, the entirety of the back taxes. We ask that you please consider this payment and allow us to take back possession of the house my mother purchased for us. Thank you for your consideration.
I will put that, excuse me, what was your first name again?
Sarah.
Sarah, I will put this under, no, I'm going to put it under,
Tax acquired properties.
I'll do it under 8A, between 8A and 8B on the agenda, if that's suitable. And can you stay with us for a few more minutes?
Yep.
Okay. So we have that Zoom. Do we have anything, Danielle, or email?
No.
Okay, and does anybody from the public, or anybody that's here want to speak on public forum? Thank you. So we're going to go to item 5A, which is a regular city council meeting, February 27, 2023. That's on pages 2 to 5 in our packet. Everybody's had a chance to review these. Is there any errors or omissions?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
A motion is second. Discussion. Bagley.
Aye.
Boma.
Aye.
Gahn.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
Terrio.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So, 5A, we have bid openings, awards, and appointments. We have recognition of 2023 CHS Principals Award, and we're going to allow Deputy Mayor Boma to read this because I think it's appropriate because of her career in education. So, and I'll present the certificate.
Perfect. There we go. Perfect. So Jaden Blackstone, I of Caribou, who is a senior at Caribou High School, has been selected to receive the 2023 Principals Award. The award, sponsored by the Maine Principals Association, is given in recognition of a high school senior's academic achievement and citizenship. The Principals Award is presented in more than 100 Maine public and private high schools by member principals of the MPA, the professional association which represents Maine school administrators. So here with us tonight is Jaden Blackstone I, as well as Assistant Principal Ben Goodwin. Jaden, if you'd like to come on up.
Let's move over here, 'cause with that light in the back, it doesn't
Where do you
look
wanna-
good in pictures. Just stand over
Stand
here.
over here.
Yeah.
Stand in front of the
There we
whole
go.
council.
Perfect.
There you go.
Everybody can stand
Yeah,
around
we
that.
can stand up.
Congratulations.
So, Mr. Goodwin, are you
So
going to get up there too with
Yeah,
your
absolutely. I have a-
certificate?
Yes, please. We also have I think you have them right up there. We also have a certificate for Mr. Goodwin as well as Principal Selfridge, who could not be with us tonight.
Good job, picture. Another Pine Caribou
Oh,
student.
get over there too, like,
Yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
get
yeah.
one big happy family here, as dysfunctional as it may seem. Okay, so let's see if I can see everybody in the council. So everybody
Just
get-
to squeeze this way.
Everybody kind of squeeze together.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, John Morrill, can't see
Yeah,
you.
it's okay.
No, Jody, like now, okay, now I can't see Courtney.
How about I step over here?
Oh, there.
There we go.
There you go. Perfect.
Thank you again. Good job.
And
Congratulations.
anybody want to say anything?
Ben, you want to take
And I want to
Jamie's?
give, I want to
Yeah.
give you Jamie's certificate as well. Can you make sure that she gets that if you'd
Big deal.
like to say a few words? It's up to you or no?
So I've had the pleasure of not only being the assistant principal for this fine young lady, but also her teacher. 2 years? I think I had you for 2 years. 1 year. She's an amazing woman, very, very fitting for this honorable title. So thank you all for presenting it to her tonight. And it's going to be nice to see the good things that this young woman will do and hopefully bring back to the city of Caribou.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. This is the part that absolutely makes her agenda and meetings the best,
Yeah.
for sure, right here, absolutely. So we get a public hearing on the 2023 municipal budget, that's on page 7. And I guess,
Mr. Mayor, I wonder if we should skip ahead to the tax acquired property list, just to keep the young lady that's on hold here for now, and whatever we have going on, because this might take some time, I think, the municipal budget thing.
okay, we'll go to...
I'm just suggesting, that's all, but I was
Okay, I'll
wondering
move, I'll
if we...
move, so, item 7, well, let's, okay, absolutely, let's address the, that immediate issue. So I understand, is Sarah, you still there?
Yep, she's here.
She's here and her husband's here. You're willing to present us a check for the back taxes for the 3 years on this property? And is this...
You do have finance staff
Can you
here
can
too.
you verify that for us?
Carl, yeah.
Or Denise, either one.
Evening, Mayor, councilors, and manager. That 5,300 does represent the 2023 taxes as well.
Okay.
So if we do accept it, then we'll be including the 2023 taxes.
That catches them up to date
Yes, sir.
And pays 23.
pays-
and pays 23,
year's,
right?
So
yeah.
they're actually paying 4 years, really.
I just didn't know in the timing of April 1st.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure we collected the 2023.
So what's the, I just want to make sure I get the math a lot right.
You need a motion to accept
Yes.
that payment. I make a motion that we accept the payment in full. I appreciate your due dire in fulfilling your obligation to the city of Caribou. Being a hometown girl, I know you expect that. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your husband coming here. And Sarah, we grew up down the street from each other, so, but I appreciate your due diligence in supporting and taking care of that matter. That's a big deal, so.
Counselor, can you reference maps
Yes.
31,
Oh, yeah,
lot
okay,
8?
Matt. What is it now?
31, lot 8, map 31, lot 8, 46 Collins Street.
Whatever he said, so.
Can you just say?
You
it?
have to say.
Oh, I gotta say.
Yeah, make a motion that we accept.
Okay, make a motion to accept, I don't have the lot
map
number here, but.
31.
It's on page 26, property number 3.
31, lot 8,
Sorry, okay, wait, I'm looking. I get kind of ahead of myself, sorry.
page 26.
I'm looking, I got it. 25, 26, so it's, what number is it?
Property number 3, account number 3092, Rita Evans.
Put your glasses on.
Map 31, lot 8.
All right, map 31, lot 67,
No,
lot
lot
8.
8,
lot 8, okay, at,
46 Collins
oh,
Street.
there it is, okay, lot 8, 46 Collins Street. Okay, map 31, lot 8, 46 Collins Street, for the amount of, that they presented, so,
Move to
did I do that
accept.
right?
Is that,
Close enough.
is that a good,
Well, it's Carl, I know
Is
he
that-
likes
is
to
that-
have
is that-
map and lot, so.
do you have map and lot, are we
Perfect.
acceptable with that motion?
Perfect.
So that finance says that.
Sorry.
Second.
We have moved and seconded, as long as we're good with that. Discussion on this topic? Bagley?
Aye.
Bowman?
Aye.
Gone?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. I believe probably at the next meeting, we'll have a
Quick claim,
Yeah,
right,
have
yep.
a-
quit claim deed.
This literally all just happened at like, what?
Today,
Like 3
2:30.
o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, so that's good. Well,
That's cool, at least they're responsible enough to come and,
I think you guys.
I think it's a big deal,
Consideration.
but, yeah.
It was quick, we didn't even know about it. We
Fine.
learned about
So
it.
we'll have a,
Check, were you there?
and we'll have you, at our next meeting, we'll have you a quick claim deed.
Thank
Quick
you.
Claim deed.
Yes, it means a lot.
Oh,
When is
absolutely.
that?
They'll have a quick claim, well,
April 10th. So our next meeting is April 10th, which is in 2 weeks, and they'll have the quitclaim deed back to Rita Evans, correct? Because that's the name it was in before. They'll have that for the council to sign at the next meeting, which of course is after April 1, which is why they collected the 2023 taxes
good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Yep. So we took care of that. Thank you, John.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. No, let's get that behind us. So now, on 7A, was it page 7? 6, 7. Which is the public hearing on the 2023 municipal budget. I just have a quick question. Did we have the expense budget? Didn't we have the public hearing for that last meeting? So
Well, we
that
did,
could-
but I mean, if people have something to say, they.
Okay, we'll just open it all up. Okay, that's fine. So I'll,
We didn't have anybody that thought.
talked about just the expense, and we were ready to speak about the capital or the income as well. So I'll open the public hearing on the 2023 municipal budget at 6:15. And this will be the opportunity for anyone from the audience to speak. Here we go. Please, your name and address, please.
My name is April Flagg. I live actually in Cross Lake, but I'm a Caribou girl. I grew up here, went to school here, but I represent Recovery Aroostook, which is based in Caribou. We are asking the City Council of Caribou to put us in the budget line for $2,500. Recovery Aroostook has opened 2 sober houses in Caribou, a men's house and a women's house. I cannot tell you how stressful it is to run sober houses. If you do not have any experience with addiction or with the recovery from it, it is an incredibly draining process. We are working hard on a daily basis to raise money for these houses so that we can help the people who are at this point very vulnerable. We help residents who not only suffer from addiction but also suffer from some pretty severe mental health issues, because that's why they turn to addiction, is to push those away. So we are really fighting hard to keep the houses open, keep them operational, keep them well and welcoming for our clients. And we ask for the city's support. We've been reaching out to businesses. We have a sustaining donor program ongoing right now. We'd like 1,000 people to donate $10 a month so that we can run these houses without worry. We help anyone, anywhere, but the houses are located in Caribou. We need to be a recovery-ready community. Drugs are here, and they're a real issue. We lost Hannah White, which is a really well-known name here in Caribou. Presque Isle lost Trevor Graves, another really well-known name last year. I could probably list a million names off the top of my head. I'm a teacher. I teach in Fort Fairfield. I had 4 names on the shirt that we just did who died from an overdose that I taught as a teacher. So this problem is real. It's here. Over 600 Mainers died in 2022, 2021, and over 700 died in 2022. So even though we are working hard, the work is not worked hard enough. We need to really pull together as a community and say this is a problem. And as a community, we need to say we're behind Recovery Aroostook. We're ready to help. We're learning over the last couple of weeks that some pretty substantial partners that we thought we had aren't really helping. And so we're going to need some help. And I gave a letter to Mr. Bagley, so he has our letter. Do you have any questions for me? I have my president, but you all heard his story, so they wanted me to speak. I'm the media and the grant writer, so. All volunteer board, by the way. It's an all volunteer board. Recovery Aroostook is all volunteer.
Does anybody have any questions from the council for April?
I just have one comment, okay? First off, high-profile names aren't the ones that matter. It's the ones in behind that matter. And I think that's something that's very, very important. We can always address attention to the high-profile names, okay, that attract more attention, but it's the ones that get lost in the cracks that are, so I think that's very, very important. I think there's no doubt, I think the city of Caribou supports Rooster Recovery, always have. And I think that, but that's something to be very, very important. Every name matters.
We use the high-profile names because drug addiction has a stigma attached to it, and it's this idea that only certain people can be attacked by addiction, and that's not true at all. Addiction doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't care what gender you are. It doesn't care what age you are. It doesn't care how much money your family have. It doesn't matter how much education you have. It does not matter. And that's why we use those names, because those names people know, and they think that those people had the perfect life, and why would that happen? Because addiction doesn't care. It will come and it will get you, and it will take everything from you. And that's why we use those names. But we did do a campaign last year called Say Their Name, and we had over, I want to say 200 names.
Yeah, too many.
Way too many names on the back of a shirt, and our whole idea was, please say their name. We didn't care. We just wanted them to say their name, and we had families who refused to allow us to put the name of the individual who passed on the shirt, and it broke the hearts of their friends who missed them very much. We need to end the stigma. We need to stop saying that it's just certain people who get addicted to drugs, because that's not true. It is not true at all. But that's why I use those names.
Don't take my comment offensively.
No, I totally understand.
My thing is, okay, is that I just...
But I could list off a number of names on the back of that shirt, and they were all, like I said, 4 of them were my students. I had them in high school as students, and they were, 2 of them especially were lights. They were lights. They were just the most charismatic and sweet kids you could possibly imagine, and drugs took them away.
So, Mr. Mayor, I think you can see this is an amazing group and an amazing program and worthy of our support. I think they provide a wonderful service to the community, and I'd really like to see the city support them.
Can I add something real quick, just to put a little...
Your name, John, just
John
mention.
Oliver,
Yeah,
I'm the chair of
we know you,
Recovery.
but
guys
say your
heard
name.
before. Just to put a little reality on the situation here.
Can you speak into the microphone so people at home can hear you?
So I'm John Oliver, Chair of Recovery Aroostook. So yesterday, this is how my day went. I woke up in the morning. I actually exactly rolled over to the wife and I said, what do we have to do today? She said, nothing. I said, awesome, incredible. So we walked in the grocery store, bags in tote, cart in my hand, and we got a call. There was a resident at the female house that was in crisis. The house manager was in Limestone, wasn't able to get there quick enough. So we dropped our cart, we dropped our bags, and we went to the women's house. When we got there, we realized that there is a woman there, and she's actually been the rock star resident the whole time. She's been clean 4 or 5 months, been in the house for 3, been doing incredible things, and some trauma that she had pushed down with substances came to light. It put her into crisis. She hasn't been right for 4 or 5 days, and we've been trying to work through that, but we couldn't. We ended up getting a plan rolled out, and talked to her today, and she smiles. So I mean, we have some trauma therapy lined up. We have some, we did a visit with the ER. I was in close contact with Chris Duty, the CEO of the Cary Medical Center, who we followed up with today. And then this morning, I went to work and got a phone call from an individual downstate. Their son has been incarcerated at Holton County Jail. Billy Joe, the corrections officer, will only let him out into custody of a sober house. So I automatically got on the PayPal. They PayPal'd April's our Recovery Rustic account, the bail money. I then took it out of my business account and went down to Holton, bailed him out. He came to my shop because I was too busy to get him all the way to Caribou. He worked for me for 4 hours, and then I'll be reimbursed by Recovery Rustic once the PayPal goes through. But those are some of the things that we do on a daily basis, and that's just a Sunday and a Monday, completely on a whim, you know. So, like I said, you know, I refuse to put dollar signs on lives, and that's what a lot of these other, you know, advocacy projects do. I mean, obviously it takes money to run them, but, you know, I can't see, you know, trading dollar signs for lives. So that's why we do what we do. Thank you.
Also, really quickly, we don't just do the sober houses. We do a family recovery group as well. We funded a counselor to work with the family members of affected others, which is people who are affected by either the use, the current use, or the past use of somebody in their family. We've had mothers, wives, husbands, children at these meetings with an LCSW for the past 6 months. So he's finished his first, we have 2 more to go. He'll finish his first session, and the new session will start in October, and that is held right here in Caribou every other week at the rec department. So we also do that. We do a 5K, we did a black balloon celebration, we do other fundraisers. So I want you to know that our advocacy is not just for the sober houses. We also do an awful lot of community engagement and involvement, because in order for this to become a recovery-friendly community, we've got to get it out there that this is an issue, and that we need to be able to have somebody say, listen, I've got a problem, where do I go? And we want to be able to say, we got you, we got you, we're going to help you, so that no more names go on backs of shirts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, April. Any more questions for April? And we'll open it up to anybody else that would like to speak for the public. Mark, please state your name.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor Smith, City Councilors, Manager Thompson. My name is Mark Draper. I'm a resident of Caribou, and I'm the chairman of the Caribou Riverfront Renaissance Committee, and I'm here tonight speaking in support of the committee's budget request for funding a master plan for the Riverfront District. The memo that accompanied our funding request provided a rather lengthy and detailed description of the committee's purpose and progress over the last year and a half or so, and I'm not going to repeat all that tonight, except to say that we've generated some pretty strong momentum towards our goal of revitalizing this long neglected asset of our community. Progress has been made on several fronts, including defining the extent of the Riverfront District, submitting a regional request for a change of use of the railroad right-of-way, and working in a cooperative manner with the planning board to develop proposed zoning and land use standards for the district. What would be the centerpiece, or a centerpiece, of the committee's effort is to create a Riverfront District Master Plan, and that is similar to the Caribou Downtown District Plan, for example. That would capture the committee's vision, the priorities, and the strategy for this long-term effort. In addition to being a standalone document, that document also become a core element of the updated Caribou Comprehensive Plan, which has just been kicked off. That effort's just been kicked off. Our request for $40,000 is based on a $50,000 estimate provided to us by consultants that typically provide this type of work. And working with city staff, the committee's already raised $10,000 towards this effort, which is it's a good start, and it's a good indication of the public's strong support for this effort. Further evidence of that robust public support is the ranking of this effort by participants of the Comprehensive Plan kickoff meeting, where Riverfront Development scored a very close second to a category called New Business. So folks there were 50 or so folks that participated in that effort, and folks put this effort almost as high as general economic development within the city. I would note that the source of this funding we seek is the Tax Increment Financing Enterprise Fund rather than from the general fund. Therefore, funding of this project would not affect the property tax rate. The Downtown District Plan, which was developed for the Downtown TIF District, contains numerous references to expansion of that planning and redevelopment effort to the riverfront, particularly referencing Caribou Stream and Water Street as the gateway to the riverfront district. Therefore, use of these funds for this purpose was premeditated and entirely appropriate. Furthermore, the committee continues to work with city staff to pursue other funding efforts, including a Northern Border Regional Commission grant for which a letter of intent is currently being drafted for submittal in mid-April. This could potentially reduce or even eliminate the need for the TIF funding if we're successful. However, at this point, time is of the essence. Demonstrated community support is integral to leveraging funding from other sources that are currently being considered for this and other projects related within the city. So you may ask, okay, why are we spending money on another plan? And my response to that question would be twofold. First, revitalizing the riverfront is going to be a long-term effort. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. Committee members will change, city staff will change, but this planning document will remain as a guide for future committee members, for future staff going forward with these strategies that are developed. They won't have to reinvent that wheel as they go forward. And also, granting agencies or agencies that provide funding for projects like this want to see how their funds are going to fit into an overall strategy to make improvements in a community. We don't want to be doing this kind of willy-nilly. We want to do this with a plan and a strategy that makes sense. And so having that plan is the basis. The plan document forms the basis for leveraging other funding to get things done. And in this case, get things done on our riverfront. So I'd hope you would consider funding this opportunity and look at it as an investment in Caribou's future. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Mark from the council regarding budget?
Let me off easy.
Thank you. Easy.
Thank you, Mark.
And Mark, go on, please, just put your hand up. Don't Mark go on. If I don't see you, just let Penny know. Wave at Penny.
Yeah, I'm trying to check and make sure.
Check to make sure if your hand's up, that's all. So, okay, does anybody else from the public want to speak this evening regarding any aspect of the city budget? I guess I should have read this earlier, but just the complete city budget, bring everybody up to speed. On or before May 31st, the city manager will finalize the complete city budget for the current year, including all three elements: expense, capital expense, and income. The city council has the opportunity to reduce the expense or capital expense budget if needed based on the current income budget, but cannot increase the expense budget or capital budget after it's passed. Set the tax rate of taxation. The city council will set the rate of taxation for the city based on the approved budgets of the city, county, and RSU 39 on or before the 30th of June each year. So I just wanted to, I should have done that before we got into the public hearing, just to clarify that. So with that, does anybody else have anything before I close the public hearing? I will close the public hearing on the expense, the 2023 municipal budget at 6:31. And we're gonna, council will talk about that later on in the agenda. So the next we have the reports by staff and committee. 8A, we have the February financials, and we have Carl, our finance director, here to lead us through that. And we will be on pages, we'll start on page 8, Carl?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So on page 8, February finances for the city of Caribou, assets on hand is $10,921,612.07. Cash on hand, $5,583,065.44. About 3/4 of the way down the page, 2022 tax receivables, we collected $66,558.89, bringing our 2022 commitment down to $572,028.64. We've collected 93% of our commitment. That's about 0.5% less than last year on the collection of 2021 tax commitment. On the next line, 2023 tax receivables, we collected $30,708.89. And so far, we've collected $436.67 towards the 2023 property taxes. Moving on to the next page, under liabilities, towards the bottom of the page, the balance as of February 28th of 2023 was $7,618,000. I'm sorry, $7,618,390.64. Moving over to page 12, the fund balance ending 2/28/23. Towards the bottom of the page, fund balance was at $3,303,221.43. Moving over to the expense budget on page 15.
You're starting to read like me.
Expenses for February were at $815,368.83. Comparable to last February, since the budget's not in the packet yet. Last year, we were at $797,478.87. That's up about 2.2%, about $18,000. And that increase is due mainly to the salary adjustments from 1/1. Moving over to the revenue on page 20. We collected $422,541.55. Comparable to last February at the same time, we were up $49,289.98. That's about 11.7% higher than last February. I just wanted to make a note on the year-to-date. We're at $941,243.62, and that is only about $200 less than last year at the same time. So we're right on schedule as far as last year. Side notes for the excise tax, we collected $82,106.22. And that's about $120 less than last February, but year-to-date, we are above about $11,000, or about 6%. The revenue sharing for February came in at $197,675.91. That's up about $18,000 compared to last February. And year-to-date, we are higher than last year at the same time frame, about $34,000, or 9.2%. That's all I had, unless someone had questions.
Does anybody from the council have questions for our finance director?
Just a couple comments, maybe to make more sense to the general public. So Carl, in your opinion overall, does the city of Caribou seem to be functioning very well financially? Do you think we're a little bit behind? But in your overall opinion?
I think we're right on track. Like I said, the revenue is about the same as last year. But I anticipate that increasing over the course of the year with the revenue sharing numbers coming in at the way they are. And expenses are over a little bit, but we knew that was going to happen with
We knew that was going to happen
salary
because of wages and
adjustments,
everything
yeah.
else, so that's the biggest thing, so. But basically, overall, we're probably on track like we were last year, maybe even a little bit better over years previous.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. Because the revenue sharing is the
Big
main
time.
key. Basically, the state is reimbursing at what the legislation passed multiple years ago, but they've just now started funding it pretty much since COVID went
Yeah.
through. They received a bunch of COVID money from the feds.
So, any more questions for Carl regarding the financials? Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the financials as presented by the financial director.
Second?
Discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And now we have we still have Carol up here because we're going to talk about the tax required properties to go out to bid, and that is on page, I just had it here.
26.
26, I'll find it again. I had a couple questions on this, but,
So just an overview on that. The first 3 properties on the list are on there from the previous years that haven't been sold. This year, we had 4 properties that were added, but we just sold 46 Collins Street back to the previous owner, so we're only looking for 3 new properties. I set the minimum bid at 25% of assessed value. That's what we have done in the past. That covers the back taxes on the books, any amounts owed to the utilities district, and I also included 23 taxes in those minimum bid amounts. The section on the bottom is the blight list that we received from the Code Enforcement Office. So those aren't scheduled to go out to bid unless you would like to move any of those properties up to the bid list. So we're only looking at technically 6 properties at the top.
I got one quick question on this. I'm looking at, I know you mentioned that you put the 25% of the assessed value is typically what we do, and you're including the 23 taxes, but I'm looking at account number 48, the Tracy account. It's assessed value at $5,600, and we've got a minimum sale of $24,500.
So the assessed value now is for land only. The minimum bid includes the demolition cost.
Oh, okay.
We do, since it's been on the bid list for this is the 2nd year, we do decrease the minimum bid by about $100 from last year, trying to get the property sold, but.
They're clear. And that, I guess that's going to lead into my next question, is because we have property listed as blight, and we have several properties down here that say land only, land 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that a similar situation?
Yes, if it's over the 25%, it's because we took in consideration some of the demo costs.
That's perfect.
That's what I was gonna
Okay,
ask
that answers my question. I don't know if someone else has a
I
similar
do
question.
have a quick
Go ahead.
question. On the blight only, map 17, lot 033C, down towards the bottom, Belanger Road. Didn't we work on that last year? Or is this another piece of property owned by the same people?
Same property.
Yeah.
It's the same property. I thought we had moved on that.
I thought we
last
did
year.
too.
No, I think somebody had tried, didn't somebody come up
Oh,
and wanted to
they-
buy it, but
they-
then they backed down or something? I think that's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, someone approached us asking us if we would consider selling it, but then when they found out that they had
Had to
code
do what?
violations, then they backed out.
Gotcha.
It was a neighbor.
So what's your, as we move along here, so what, I guess what the administration is recommending, that we put the remaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so there's 6 properties on the top of the list remaining after we remove the Collins Street property, correct?
Yes.
So if we were to put those out to bid, and then the council could potentially decide what we want to do with this listed as blight property. I mean, we got something to talk about on the agenda a little later.
Right.
That might involve some of this, and we could at least get these ones going. So with that, I'll make a motion that we accept,
Holy cow.
we put map 20. Get my glasses off.
Yeah, your turn now.
Yeah, no, I
your
can't
turn
see
now.
that. Me, the big stuff, even the glasses.
I'm glad you
That
did
we
that.
put,
I wasn't going to take that one.
map 26.
25.
25.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah. Can you read it for me,
We'll
please, even though I get
take,
the
we'll
glasses?
put map 25, lot 66, 50 Nancy Street, map 34, lot 138, 25 Liberty Street. Are you getting all these together, do you? Map 28, lot 119, 66 York Street. Map 15, lot 67-B, 903 Access Highway. And map 31, lot 153, 17 Fenderson Street. Whoops, do I have one more, sorry?
One more.
One more.
One more. Map 37, lot 18, 8 Shirley Street.
Yeah.
double vision, guys.
Okay, so
Dan don't
that's
work.
I made the motion on that even though,
Right.
well, actually, you make the motion.
Okay,
That-
so we move those
you-
lots to
You
go
make
out
the
to
motion and
bid.
I'll second it. How's that? Because you read it. Is
I
that-
just did.
Okay, perfect, so.
So you're second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
And is there discussion on this? And I
Just
want-
a point of clarification, at the minimum sale listed?
Yes.
Are we accepting that minimum sale listed as part of that motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'll amend that second, if that's what we want to put in there. And unfortunately, it looks like none of these properties are occupied, except the one we just recently elected their owners, so we won't have any issues with that. Discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gone?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye, and we will give the council some opportunity to look over this blighted property and think about it, and we can discuss that at the next meeting and see what we want to move forward.
Okay. Didn't we have something that,
Well, that's going to come up later
Okay,
on, but
okay.
I don't think that's going to be an action item. I think that's
okay,
going to be a first read when you're talking about 9F.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we can,
Okay.
we'll get there when we get there, I guess, on that one. So we get the best part of the, other than the giving out certificates, we have the manager's report. Oh, thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
So you get everything he needs there for that. So Penny, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot for tonight. For the riverfront properties, we're still waiting to hear about our brownfields application. For events and marketing, the citywide yard sale is May 20th and 21st. Land Bank is on tonight's agenda. Also on the agenda is the Riverfront Master Plan. The Riverfront Committee is requesting funds from the Caribou City Council for that master plan. The facade improvement program, the deadline was March 15th. The committee is meeting tomorrow, so the results of that for your approval will be on the April 10th agenda.
How many people did we have?
We only had one person
Yeah.
apply in 2 categories
Okay.
for a sign and a major facade improvement.
It's all good.
Yep.
Made it easy.
Yeah. Police station, that's on tonight's agenda. The comp plan update Thursday, there was a work session on housing. Personnel changes, the city of Caribou has multiple open positions. You can find more information on the website. And other updates, staff is working on many projects. Sorry to be disappointing, that really wasn't that much
Means everything's
excitement,
going-
but.
It means everything's going good. Everything's smoothly.
Yeah.
So,
So
any
does anybody have any questions?
questions, Penny, or anything?
What time's that meeting tomorrow for the facade improvements? In the
I
morning?
believe it's 9.
Okay.
Then there's no breakfast.
Can't bring your own.
I can check here on my schedule, but I believe it's 9.
Throw that in there. So,
Bring
Yeah, 9
donuts.
o'clock down here.
John, just bring donuts.
What's that?
Just bring
I
donuts.
probably will. Yeah.
okay, good. Anybody else in the council have any questions for our manager? Okay, so we'll move.
The committee might not be here, or do you want it down there?
Oh, you got one, which one? Do you want to
I get the, you want to go down here?
Which
Or do you want me to
one?
go
Just,
Committee, it's just a committee.
let's just do it.
Uh-oh. Down there, okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You're right, get up early. When I go out, pretty high intention.
Yeah.
Did you hear him
Yeah,
crashing
we'll
the
put it under
party
that one.
tomorrow? That's a CEDC.
So the next, we got 9A, we got new business, ordinances, resolutions on page 29 in our packet. We have approval for the June 13, 2023 RSU 39 budget validation elections. I believe this is a formality, so to speak. The clerk's office is preparing for the June 13, 2023 RSU budget validation elections. It's requesting council approval for the following: approval of an 8 a.m. opening time for the June 13, 2023 election, appointment of Danielle Brissette as election warden and Kalen Hill as deputy warden for the June 13, 2023 election. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Bagley?
Aye.
Bowman?
Aye.
Vaughn?
That was it.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Good to see Kaylin's name. I haven't heard her name for a while, so I'm glad.
Yeah,
when I was
what's
reading the
nice
packet.
about this is now our city clerk's office will be open that day. So
Oh, excellent.
Kaylin is going to help Danielle at the polls, so Christina and Sherry can be here at the office, so we won't have to close.
As we have typically done in the past.
Yep, typically all three of them will go up there, so,
Well, that's excellent news.
yeah, so it's good all the way around.
Okay, so we got 9B of change 30. We have, our clerk's office has received applications, excuse me, we have appointments to the zoning board of appeals, page 30. The clerk's office has received applications from George Howe and Louis Cousin. Both candidates have served on the board before and are applying to be reelected for terms ending 12/31/2025. And I believe this was a vacancy that we weren't able to fill when we do our
Aye.
typical appointments in January. Just to clarify there.
So moved.
Oh, I make a motion to appoint both George Howe and Louis Cousins to zoning board of appeals for a term ending 12/31/2025.
She beat you.
She beat you, so you can second it.
Second.
Second. So there we go.
Not
As
very
long as Danielle's keeping it straight, we have to go back and watch the video. So discussion on this topic. Bagley,
Aye.
Bowman,
Aye.
Gahn,
Aye.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So we've got so now on 9C, we have appointments to the Congregate Housing Development Corporation. And that is going to be, well, I'll read it, I guess. We can, according to the Caribou Congregate Housing Development Corporation bylaws, 2 directors shall be selected by the City Council of Caribou, which 2 directors may not be members of said City Council. Notice of such selection shall be provided to the clerk of the corporation by the first day of April of each year by the said council. Currently, the 2 members that fill the seats on behalf of the Caribou, on behalf of the City of Caribou are Kenneth Murchison, Code Enforcement Officer, and Lisa Plord, Housing Director. Per the bylaws, their term expires in March. It is being requested of the City Council to appoint Danielle Brissette, City Clerk, and to reappoint Lisa Plord, Housing Director, to the Caribou Housing Development Corporation Board of Directors. And if anybody has any questions, I believe Lisa's here, but what are the wishes of council?
I make a motion that we appoint Danielle Brissette, City Clerk, and to reappoint Lisa Plord, Housing Director, to the Caribou Housing Development Corporation Board of Directors.
Second?
Discussion. Bagley,
Aye.
Bowman,
Aye.
Gahn,
Aye.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Aye. Get through that one. Let's see what we got next. 2023 Maine DOT Municipal Partnership Agreement for paving on Route 161B and Route 164. That's 33, 38 in our packet. And I think Dave spoke about this at the,
Last meeting. Is this what
Yeah.
we talked about last meeting?
So,
go ahead.
Have a map?
Save you some trips.
I apologize, because the last 2 weeks, I thought we were talking about the Washburn Road when we were talking about the Woodland Center Road. But tonight, we are talking about 2 roads. Herschel Street, right here from North Main to Prospect for repavement, and we'll reset that island right at the record because there's no curbing left there. Once we do an overlay there, the island will actually be lower than the road.
No.
Yeah. And then the second one,
Yeah, that
finally,
part doesn't
is the
count,
Washburn
I
Road.
think, 'cause it's not a sidewalk.
I'd like to
But it doesn't
do from the
matter.
urban compact line, which is approximately like where the Snowville Trail crosses, the substation for Versant, to the SW Collins intersection on Hatch Drive. Both of them streets are just overlays, about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, depending on what we need at the point. We'll do the catch basins and the whatever work we can. The sidewalks are in good shape on Washburn Street because they were redone about 8 years ago when the DOT comes through there, so there's nothing to think about on that.
You have to put the metal stuff in there?
We haven't gotten into that part. We probably will have to, depending on whether the state is giving us federal money or state money, determines whether the ADA compliant sidewalks need to be. But there's only a couple streets anyway, so there's not a lot to do there. The total estimate for the two projects was $360,000, of which the DOT will share $180,000. The other $180,000 can be from us, either as all cash or cash and in-kind services. Unlike the Bennett Drive project, that was estimated and it didn't get funded by the DOT the first year, and then the second year, we had such price increases that we barely came in under budget on that one, so there wasn't a lot of in-kind there. This one here will leave us a little bit more wiggle room. And if you so choose to do this, I have already put $175,000 in the capital improvement if that gets approved. So I'm not asking for any additional funds, I'm just asking if we can do these projects with the MDOT. Any questions for me?
Quick question. The agreement references Summer Street as the
Yeah,
endpoint,
that-
and the diagram shows Hatch and Washburn. Which?
So my estimates are right from Hatch Drive to the end. When the DOT wrote up their section, I don't know why they said Summer Street, but we will be doing the entire section, because in behind that church is just as bad as anywhere
Right.
else.
That's what I-
So for us, we will do the whole thing. My estimate includes the whole thing.
Do we need to change the agreement to
I don't-
reflect Herschel?
I'll mention it to them, but I don't believe we'll have to.
They're not too fussy about it?
Nah,
Okay.
not when it comes to that. They actually give no oversight. They don't come check to see if I put what I said, and it's a pretty good working relationship with them, to be honest with you.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Any questions for Dave regarding this, or the wishes of council?
I make a motion to authorize City Manager Penny Thompson to execute the agreement with the Maine DOT for the calendar year 2023 municipal partnership agreement for a section of Route 161B and Route 164 in Caribou.
Second?
Discussion, please, on this item? No, please. Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gahn?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you. So now you're at the proposed contract with Artifacts for architectural services on our new police station. And this is on page 3975 in our packet. I'll read what we have attached here. Voters in Caribou voted in favor of moving forward with a plan to construct a new police station at a cost not to exceed $10 million in June 2023. The city was successful in having a congressionally directed spending request approved in the amount of $2.5 million from Senator Susan Collins. To proceed with assessing the CDS funding and move forward with securing financing for the facility, Caribou needs to enter into a contract with a firm to provide architectural and engineering services for the project. The 5 phases are broken down in the proposal for a total of $629,000. See page 7 of the proposal letter. We also have in here, we have plenty of information here from the Bureau of General Services and Division of Planning. I don't have to read all that. Well, I can, I guess. I have also attached information from the State of Maine Bureau of General Services Division of Planning. Design and construction, public safety buildings fall under a B rate, which is in our documents. The project falls into the category of projects with a construction cost of $4 million to approximately $15 million, page 4. For B rate structure in that construction cost category, the recommended fee schedule is 7%, 7.7%. On a $10 million project, that would give a fee range of $700,000 to $770,000. So, what do you have to throw in here, Penny, on anything else?
I mean, I know that this is a big ask here when you see big numbers like that. That's why I wanted to include the information from the Bureau of General Services, so you can get an idea of what the price should be compared to what the contract is asking for. So back when the process started, when Mr. Marker was here and he went out for an RFQ, he had, on the RFQ it said they were going to work with that, whatever contractor they chose they would work through. However, a contract was never signed. So I went back in the meeting minutes from, and I couldn't bring them with me, but like 2019. And what the council approved at that time was just to get a design and have it bid for it to go to the voters. And so the council approved at that time around $40,000 for that. And that's been done, and of course it's been out for bid. We have we have an idea of what the project's going to be, but until it's actually said, okay, this is exactly where it's going to go. This is the topography where the building is going to sit. This is where our access points are going to be. That's when the final design will be done, when we actually have the site where it's going to sit. So we're at the point with both with accessing the CDS money of $2.5 million and also with trying to get USDA financing for the project. And then after that's secured, getting interim financing with the bank for the construction period. We're at the point that we have to have a contract with someone for architectural and engineering services, because they have certain paperwork that they have to complete for us to send in. So we're kind of at a standstill right now until we have someone and they know they're going to get paid and they're going to submit that paperwork for us so that we can access the next steps of the project.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I mean, I think that,
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Sweet.
no, I just think the contract looks pretty good.
I'm just asking you because you're the chairman of that committee. So,
I make a motion to authorize City Manager Penny Thompson to execute the agreement with Artifacts for the Caribou Police Station project in Caribou.
Second.
discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Boma?
Aye.
Gahn?
Aye.
Morrow?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Willie?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So then we'll keep the public updated on how they're doing with that.
We do have on our website, we do have a whole page that has to do with the project, so folks can go on there and just see where we are in the.
Can I just,
Yep.
one question when we're talking about this?
Jody, you're loaded in the morning.
That could be. So they're going to begin a whole new design plan, correct, on this or no?
Correct.
We're going to start.
We're going to start with what we have. We're
Start
not,
with
we're
we have,
not just
okay.
like crumpling that
Just
up
so
and
that
throwing it
just
in
the
the.
public understands.
Yeah,
because
no.
we
It's
get
just
to a point.
for you to really have, all the different elevations and things. We have to understand where it's going, what the elevation is there, different topographical changes, and the access points so that they can put the, driveways in the right places.
So there's still a lot of work to be done. as
There's
far
a
as the
lot of
final
work to be
design.
done, and there's a lot that still needs to be done. Even just for the paperwork that we have, like we have to get a letter that where the project is going is not in a historic site, that we're not tearing down like a historic home to put there, and we have to submit information about any hazardous materials or potentially hazardous materials. But this lets us get started on that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yeah, go
So,
ahead.
as I was reading through this, it made my head spin. This is a very complex contract. I'm just wondering, have we had a legal review from our attorney?
I have sent it over to Rick.
Yeah, I think just to be safe,
Yeah.
just to make sure there aren't anything
Yeah.
hidden in there that
Yeah.
are gonna get us later.
Yeah, it's a standard contract that's put out by.
I noticed that,
yeah.
but there was a section in there that was pretty explicit on what they're not gonna do.
Not gonna do, right,
And
exactly.
things that we have to do, and we need to be mindful that
Right.
we're on the hook for that stuff.
Well, and their hourly rates, so if we are
Right.
asking them to do something that's beyond the scope, what it's gonna cost us.
But I'm
with
very
that.
excited to see this move forward. This is
It's
gonna
been
be
it's
great.
been a little bit here, so and I believe, well,
Long time coming.
And we've been talking about it, well, we'll talk about it in the capital improvement budget. There's some money for some funding in there to help with this. So, okay, we're done with that. So if that motion is passed, we get the letter from the Business Investment Group regarding the land bank activities. I have a letter here. Do we have anybody from the Business Investment Group that is here to speak about this? And I can read the letter. Do you think that we should do that, or? Or Ken, do you want to brief us?
I wasn't going to read the entire letter.
Okay, just let us,
No.
because you're part of the committee, so.
Mayor Smith, City Council, Manager Thompson. I was expecting more people from the Business Investment Group here tonight to address this, but scheduling conflicts wouldn't allow that, so you're stuck with me. So basically, the letter in front of you outlines an expansion of the project we started in 2021 with our first request on 30 North Street. So the 0.13 acre small house that ended up being torn down is now a developable lot. Adjacent to that developable lot is also across the street 3 Hillcrest, 7 Hillcrest up the street, and 8 Hillcrest, and as well as 6 Midland. That constitutes about 25% of the entire neighborhood. That if we could bring that, invigorate that neighborhood back and add value to that, we'd restore values in that area of our city that's been historically kind of run down, falling into disrepair over time. So the intent is to fight blight in that way, put value back in these properties, and then turn them back into taxation for the city.
And these were some of the properties that were.
That are on the list as.
That addressed on the blight list that the council was, it's kind of like, felt comfortable pushing it back till we get a little, what we want to do with these properties.
So actually, we've been having an ongoing conversation, Dan and I.
And I apologize, Dan, for
That's
bugging you
all right,
on that.
'cause it's all
I'm
it is.
struggled to understand what really is going to happen here.
But a good example of how municipalities generally handle tax-acquired properties is in our Chapter 19 in the charter, which happened just tonight. And the financial director here came up and gave us a list of tax-acquired properties. We actually got one back to the owner. It's back under taxation. That's how the tax-acquired property program under Chapter 19, and that's how it works, exactly how it works. Unfortunately, over time, some of these properties come back to us several times, and there's no value left in these properties. So at that point, we end up demolishing buildings. We end up with blighted buildings standing, or vacant properties that are overgrown and undervalued, basically. So the land bank technique gives us another option. Okay, we're going to turn that over to an entity, in this case a business investment group, and either through marketing or developing a development plan for these properties to put that value back, and again, get that back under taxation for the community. So,
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So the recent interaction of our new Economic Development Committee, I guess that we passed here last meeting, whatever, which is being currently formed or whatever, okay? Isn't this a task that they would do? My other question is, okay, so if we turn these properties over to the Business Investment Group, what assets do you have to put back into these properties? Or is it something you're going to be coming back to the city for, looking for some type of funding to happen? I mean, I have a question. That's my question.
so currently, the proposal in front of you, we either through marketing, so
Right.
resell the properties,
Right.
or developing a development plan. So if we could, for instance, if we could attract a construction company to come in, build a house on spec, but they don't have to invest in the land up front. They don't have to pay taxes on it while they're doing it. So they eliminate these upfront costs and maybe make that development more affordable to a builder. At the time when they're complete, when the building's complete, they sell it at the market price and get what they need out of it. The land bank hopes to get back the assessed value of the land only to return back into the program and do more developments down the road.
How does this interact with the state land bank program? The state land bank program that is being projected through landfill rates and all this sort of thing. Is this money that you could access from there or something?
So the jury's still out on that one.
Correct.
I shared earlier that they are pulling the committee together. They have a list of appointees that are all
Southern Maine.
classified as appointable. So apparently, they're going to pull this committee together and hopefully offer us some guidance. But with that should become different levels of funding from the state and federal government.
Would the city have to access that funding, or was it, I mean, basically, so Business Investment Group is asking us to turn over 4 or 5, here you go. Like, we've already turned over 1 or 2 to you already, okay? So here you go. Okay, now it's going to be up to you to manage it, develop it, fix it, okay, and then turn it back to us. Is that what the goal is?
For taxation.
For taxation, correct. So again, I asked the question, okay, so in regards to our Economic Development Committee that we elected here, wouldn't that be part of their task also to work with these areas to develop this? I mean, I'm trying to figure out what their job is actually going to be. I mean, you know, I don't know.
Was one of those, remind me on the Economic Development Committee, was one of the representatives from Big? No. Or was it-
I don't remember.
I don't
We
know.
have to get
Anybody's
through
been
our 30
appointed.
days.
Nobody's
and then
been
we can
appointed
get- Well, we have to get through our 30 days.
Right.
30 days, and
Yeah.
and have we had anybody put their names
We
in
had
for that?
any- oh, Danielle
So we
says yeah.
have active interest in this. So basically, at our next meeting, I got a question on this. Is this a formal request, or is this just they're throwing some ideas here against the wall? I mean, is this a formal request that
This
we'd like to
this
use
is a
it?
request, just like the request we made in 2020.
Okay, so this is a request for these properties to be turned over to,
And
okay.
I should say, we're not trying to be the Economic Development Committee.
Yeah.
We're trying to provide additional options
Correct.
for the city to work.
But you would have to, I guess my point is,
So-
okay, because where we've enacted this recent development, this recent new committee, that they would be the ones that would be spearheading. I mean, I guess that was the goal, okay? I mean, it was the goal to
That may be
create
a-
them to, you know,
Yeah.
to do things. So my suggestion is, okay, before we did anything more, that let's get this committee up and running, and then we go from there. And you guys, whoever, work with them. But I see 2 entities fighting here. I see 2 entities that could come to head here sometime, which I don't like to see. I mean, we need to focus on one group that's going to do one thing. You know what I'm saying?
We see your concern there, and it's not our intent.
No, I know, but.
We want to partner with the city.
Right.
But we got to think three-dimensionally here. 'Cause
Correct.
now, if you start looking around, there's a dozen properties
Correct.
that needs this new committee's attention.
Right.
There's the Bird's Eye property, there's the industrial property with the power plants.
Right.
The Caribou Trailer Park, I mean, you
There's
go
all kinds of
on and
stuff.
on with these properties. We mentioned one on York Street. That's been there, that's a developable lot, but it's a problem because it's in the side hill.
Right.
It's not highly sought after. What are you gonna do with it?
What are you going to do with it, huh?
So,
But I
so
think we
you sat
need-
on the Economic Development Committee with,
Yeah.
like I said, if you think about it three-dimensionally, with a big task. We're just saying that we want to be an option.
Well, and again, but I think that the overall umbrella, okay, the overall umbrella should be, the city council appointed this committee, you know, wanted it to happen. They should be the overall umbrella, then everybody should work through them. That way it gets directly reported back to us. I mean, that's my thought, and I won't.
Courtney's got the floor next here.
Yeah. So, do you have a copy of that map in front of you that was included with that by any chance? The reason
I
I
can
ask
put it
is
up.
this. I'm trying to kind of figure out the other parcels that are around those, because it seems like there's some parcels sandwiched in that are not included in that, and I'm assuming they are.
Correct. So 5 Hillcrest is still standing, there's still a building there, between 3 and 7.
Okay.
So 30 York Street and 8 Hillcrest are adjoining properties. And then 7 Hillcrest and 6 Midland are adjoining properties. And so when you get a larger piece of the neighborhood like that, now we're looking at affordable housing, that perhaps duplexes.
Yeah, I'm just looking
Whereas
at how
30
chunked up it
30
is.
North Street, we were looking at maybe a tiny house.
Right. Now, I just didn't know if there was any possibility that those 3 other properties that are not included, 4, other properties that aren't included now would at some point potentially be included, or could be.
It could be, but they're under private ownership.
Okay.
so we can go.
Okay.
So we got the list as blight property here that council didn't take action on previously, in the previous agenda. So we have an option, what I see here, we can put it out to bid, we can give it to bid, we can do whatever the council wishes, I guess is. So this is kind of just really a first read on this, and it's just throwing some stuff out here.
And we appreciate your
We got some
consideration.
options here, but, and I don't want to shut anyone else off that had some, you had some.
All right, I can wait.
So, okay, we're just, so we'll take this under advisement. I guess it's a request, and when the council decides what they want to do moving forward with the remainder of these properties, we can discuss it. I mean, is that?
Very good.
Is that advisable with the council here, or?
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds great.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you,
Ken.
Ken. So we're gonna take care of that letter of the Business Investment Group. So now we on page, let's see, now we got the City Council discussion and possible action on the 2023 municipal budget. I believe I read earlier, and I do not need to read again what we're required to do. So we have, this will be tonight is the public hearing of the 2023 municipal budget. I mentioned earlier. Suggested actions, Chair can make a motion to pass with or without amendment the following. We'll pass these three at a time if council chooses. The expense budget as, what are the wishes of council here?
I would make a motion to pass the expense budget without amendment.
Second.
I have a motion to pass the expense budget without amendment. Discussion?
I
Go ahead.
do. The people who came in tonight asking for additional money, does that fall under expense? Or does that fall somewhere else?
Yeah, that's under contributions.
Okay. So if we pass without amendment, then
There's money in there.
I love to hear those words. There's money in there.
Money in there.
That's Department 75, which is
Appropriations.
Appropriations.
Okay, I
112
just
of
wanted
your
to make
packet.
sure if we're not making amendments that there's actually under.
So the thing, so, sorry, Mr. Mayor, but
No, so we have a motion,
Yep.
correct?
In a second.
And we have a second. Okay, now we have discussion.
Okay,
I just want to
so-
verify that. Yep, go ahead, please.
once we pass the expense budget, that means we can't change it, is that correct?
No, we can always reduce it.
We can always reduce it.
That's what I
Okay.
was reading earlier. I mean, I can read it again. I mean,
No, I just,
including, the city council has the opportunity to reduce the expense budget or capital expense budget if needed, based
Right.
on the current income budget, but cannot increase the expense or capital
Correct.
budgets. And I really don't want to, well, I'm going to get ahead of myself here, but when I look at the back page, I mean, we've seen what the final numbers here
yes.
are on, and I really don't want to discuss what, we can, what this could lead for an additional mill rate, because last year we were at one point, we were at like 3 mil increase,
Yes.
and at the end, we were able to come in flat. So
Right.
just because we're passing the expense budget and capital budget, or potentially, excuse me, passing this evening, does not mean that we are setting the mill rate.
Right.
We do that on the 30th, and we have the opportunity to make adjustments between now and then,
Right.
if what our final answers are. So
Just,
that's my point. You go ahead. We're still under discussion.
were Councillor Bagley's recommendations put into this formula here for the expense budget? Were those, where was this done after, Dan? Is it, I mean, I'm looking at some of this stuff
I
here.
don't understand the question.
Guys,
This-
your
these
your
are-
recommendations on the expense budget, okay, which you submitted to us,
Mhm.
okay? Were those done after, when the expense budget amount was presented, or was it done before? And do these recommendations that you have represent, or reflected in that number?
They apply to the first version of the budget that was presented to us.
Okay, just curious.
That's a question. Any other discussion on this? A motion is second. Bagley,
No?
Bowman,
Aye.
Vaughn,
No.
Morrow,
No.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
3-3, I'll split the vote. Motion carries. I'll pass the expense budget as presented.
Without amendment.
without amendment. The next one will be the capital budget, which we had we had a hearing about everything tonight. We discussed the expense. The capital committee has met 4 times, I believe. 4?
4.
4 times, and I think there was a lot of other discussion amongst ourselves, but we've got that. We've made those recommendations to the council, so our expense budget, which we approved, the expense budget was $10,540,122. We'll throw that out there. So the proposed capital budget right now is $1,404,950, which is down, I believe, from, what was their first number we looked at?
3 million something.
Yeah.
3 million. So
Yeah.
we've got it down where the committee is recommending to the full council this, and everybody's seen that. So what are the wishes of council on the
But
capital budget?
keeping in mind that some of the reason why the capital is lower this year is because we have not been able to finish projects that were funded
Appropriated.
last year, but they were on the list again for this year. But you have money set aside for a lot of those projects.
So,
I move we approve the capital budget without amendment.
Second?
discussion on the capital budget, which will be in the amount of $1,404,950.
Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
The CRRC Riverfront Plan appeared both in the expense budget for 10,000 and in the capital budget for nothing, for 0. Which prevails? What are we voting on? We've already voted to accept the expense budget at
Right,
10,000.
it was in the expense budget for 10,000.
So we
That's
just
right.
voted that without amendment. So is this now going to supersede that, to zero it out?
No.
No, it's just, it's not going to be funded from capital.
Okay.
It'll be
You don't have to.
funded for 10,000 from,
10,000 as
right.
in the expense budget.
From the,
Very
right,
good
from the,
question, because-
TIP from the enterprise
Yep.
fund, the Economic Department 11, which is economic development, which is enterprise funds, not general fund.
Does that
Did you-
answer your
did you have
question?
something to say,
Thank you very
Carl?
much.
No, okay.
John?
I have a question. In regards to the fire and ambulance account, okay, I see there's a line on them here about a van instead of an ambulance, and appropriating $50,000 for that. So I'm assuming that that means that a van, we're gonna replace an ambulance, okay, with a full box in the back of it with a standard van. I don't think that that's appropriate at all, having been an EMT, whatever, and I would encourage anybody who thinks that you can save a person's life in the back of a van versus in the back of a full-size box. I think it's something that should be addressed.
On the question, you said there's 50,000 approved this year, but I believe there was 70,000.
There was other monies that
There's
were
others,
approved
so we're at
last
about
year.
125 for the van purchase.
So in other words, it's to replace one of our ambulances, or
Correct.
chassis, okay, for the boxes, okay, with a van-style unit.
Correct. That was the
Okay.
recommendation. But there is more than just the 50. It's there
Okay.
about 125.
I just
So
want to.
I understand.
Just want people to understand that if you've ever worked in this line of work, okay, you ain't gonna work in the back of a van, okay? And there's a reason why years ago, when we had the older ambulance services, they all ran vans, and we upgraded everything to boxes. Okay, so that way you could have a patient in the middle of the box, and you could access them from all 4 sides instead of being shoved up against the side. I think that, whatever, I just think that the rationale is kind of going backwards, not forward. And I think in a lot of these ambulance accounts, what I understand about them, okay, is that basically when you're replacing an ambulance, okay, you're replacing a chassis 9 times out of 10 because the box, okay, is good for like 3 or 4 chassis. Am I right with that, Scott? Okay, and so basically you're replacing a chassis. So, but by going back to a van, okay, smaller, I mean it's like, I don't know. But I think that I don't understand that rationale where that came from. And I just wanted to bring that up. Anyways, for what it's worth. So, but that's the wishes of the council.
We're still under discussion, so this is just a proposal from the capital budget. committee to the full council. We have a motion. We have further discussion. Did you want to?
I think, from what I understood, and the idea behind the van was just to have one van that would be used more for in-town, just transports from the hospital to nursing home, something like that, not for somebody who needs critical care.
Okay, I just want to verify
Yeah.
that. I want to verify, that's all. I mean,
Yeah.
transporting is one thing, but 9 times out of 10, if that's the only thing that's there, and an emergency call comes in, and these guys got to run, I've worked out of the back of a van, and I'm going to tell you, I mean, it don't happen. you know,
Yeah, that wasn't the intent of having them
Okay.
in. I think it was just for transport, local transport.
Which,
Just to have something in the fleet that was a little smaller.
we could talk about, it was basic life support, advanced life support.
I mean, and that's the decision, okay, I mean, as a counselor, I mean, I'm bringing that concern, but that's something that should come from the staff. I mean, okay, if you guys, this is what you're going to use, okay, I mean, I just don't, I wouldn't want to get stuck, I wouldn't want to be working out of the back of there, I mean, whatever, so anyway, that's my comment, so.
Okay, so we're still on capital budget discussion. Further discussion on this from council. We have a motion to accept the capital budget.
Just a top-level comment on this.
ahead.
You know, the expense budget had the history, and I think the capital budget should have a history here as well as projections going forward, so we get the context of these numbers in terms of, you know, here's what we're asking this year. Well, that's well and good.
Yes.
What have we funded in the past? What are we projected to fund in the future? We're missing all that information. It's very hard to evaluate this at this point in time without that information.
What's that?
Didn't we have that in our, we had like for the 22 budget?
We have
capital?
some of that on spreadsheets, but I have to figure out what was actually funded from those, because
Oh,
we
okay.
have these, we have spreadsheets, but I have to try to figure out what was actually funded from some of them, which is kind of
Takes
where I
some-
find that I'm in kind of a mess with that.
For further discussion on the capital budget. Bagley,
No?
Boma,
Aye.
Vaughn,
No.
Morrow,
No,
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
Split the vote in favor. Motion carries for the capital improvement budget. The last part, the last piece of the puzzle, so to speak, I guess, is the revenue budget on page 120 to 123. And I think if we look on the back here, our total projected, on the map here on the revenue. What's our revenue number here?
revenue was,
Okay, total revenue. We have projected revenue, it's always projected,
Yeah.
$10,488,357.0 is projected revenue, and that's always subject to change, and we can move. Well, that goes up, we'd love it, but, so that's,
well, I think it's a conservative number, Mr. Mayor, and I think that, all we can do is go up, and I think, listen to our finance director this evening, the possibilities of going up are very good. Excise tax, revenue sharing, blah, 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 this sort of thing, so there ain't much debating what's gonna come in, because this is what's gonna come in.
if we
so.
just shoot a little low, and as we did last year,
Exactly.
if we see here, some of the numbers are revenue sharing, we were approximately 505,000, well, actually, not approximately, $505,415.09 over what we had budgeted, so.
Correct.
So, what are the wishes of the council?
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question
Yes, go ahead.
before any motions are made? On the per capita fees, on, let's see where we are, fire and ambulance. I was just wondering when they were last assessed, what are the current rates? And, you know, because I'm looking across, you know, prior years, and it looks like they've been pretty much flat. I'm just curious as to whether we've reassessed the cost and adjusted the per capita fee appropriately.
Did we add a regular increase on that last year?
Do you want to talk about that, Scott, so you're right here?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember either, just,
Just didn't last me.
Is it,
Was it 3%? I mean, it
Yeah.
was-
No,
It
the
wasn't.
per capita fees went up from $12.95 to $100 per person.
Yeah.
2018,
When was this?
19. And then it was assessed at that time, it should have been around $73. Presque Isle just went through the same figures, and they went out, I think theirs is, I believe it was 73, and they might have gone up to 74 per person. We're still at that $100 per capita.
So it doesn't need to be adjusted, it's good.
Basically, it supplements us.
Yeah, okay. And I had the same question on the housing, on the police. Where am I?
Thank you, Scott.
Under police,
We're on revenue still.
prisoner boarding and prisoner meals, when was that last assessed? That seems very, very low for the amount of prisoners that we house and feed over the course of a year.
I don't know the answer to that question. Chief Cahagan isn't here, he's on vacation. I think that someone asked this, I don't know, maybe in the last year, and I think I sent it out, but I can't remember I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but it seems that we
65.
had someone ask, and I sent it out, but I can search my
We've
email.
had this question.
Yeah, we have, it's just, I don't know what it
is.
is offhand, but if I search my email, I think I can find it, because I feel like in the last year or so, I've had the question, and I've got the information from Chief Cahagan. I just have to find it in my email.
Well, aiming low is not bad, it's a conservative way of doing it, but it's, looking at how we might improve revenues would be a good thing. If there is an assessment and adjustment that needs to be made for what we charge. The last question I have on snowmobile trail, state grant, 67,200, is that a real number, or is that just a hopeful number? Are those confirmed grants coming in, or?
I think a lot of it's.
Gary is on the call. He says his internet's kind of slow, but we can see if he can.
Where are we at on recreation?
Sorry, 52, snowmobile trails, 52 on 123, page 123.
I think what happened, I think Gary told me what happened on this, was that it ended up being something happened with the wrong year, that they didn't get reimbursement just right with the years, that something that was supposed to be in maybe December of '22 came in December '23. But it's my understanding, and Carl's here, he could correct me if I'm wrong, that Gary lets them know what he had to spend for the trails, and they reimburse him for that. That's why these are enterprise accounts. Like, the fundings come from other sources. So it sounds like Gary's on the line. So Gary, take it away.
Yes, that 67,200 is a real number.
Thank you.
Was that?
Simple question,
Yes,
simple
sir.
answer.
I like it. It was a lot simple. So we're still in discussion on the revenue budget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I had.
That's all we had.
Questions.
So
Yes.
this is before, we do not have a motion.
No, yeah, no, these
Not
are
yet.
questions.
What are the-
Do we have an
what
open
are-
motion? No, nobody's.
No,
made a
because
motion.
you asked
I make a motion that we accept the revenue budget as presented.
Second?
Danielle's got it. Motion seconded. Discussion, further discussion?
Right and furious.
Bagley?
Oh,
Mark,
Counselor
yes, go
Collins
ahead.
has his
Please
hand.
jump in there.
The evaluation for the ambulance fees was done during the end of 2019, the beginning of 2023. Steve put together a per capita cost for the citizens of Caribou. And I believe our cost to the citizens of Caribou for the fire and ambulance, which was everything included. Now, it was broken down. Some was fire, some was ambulance. And it was up to the towns to decide what services they want. The total combination was $122 is what it cost us.
Yes.
And we raised our fees to $100.
Yeah.
Since then, we've had some increases. Just look at the labor costs today of what we're paying today versus last year for labor. And there is a formula back in the book somewhere around the beginning of 2020, when the decision was made to send out the bills, and that's when the trouble really hit for such a large increase. But it was the cost of what Caribou citizens were paying. So I believe that we've reached the point where we're not charging enough. And it's not off by much. I'm not gonna, but 10 years from now, are we gonna be back to where we were before, where it was costing the citizens of Caribou $122 and we were only charging $12? I mean, it's sometime you have to reevaluate things all the time. Thank you.
And that was, the thing, Mark, is that was a major reevaluation of the time. So if we were to do this again, maybe the discussion was brought at the time, why didn't we move
Well, we
forward a
waited
little
so
slower?
long.
Little slower, correct?
Yeah.
Mark on that, so we've.
But we can do that outside the budget process, right?
Yes.
We can decide that separately and,
That's a contract with
Yeah.
with other
right.
municipalities.
So we should look at that, but it shouldn't hold back our revenue budget.
No, so we
Just
have
add to it.
more discussion on the revenue budget. Bagley,
Aye.
Boma,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Morrow,
Aye.
Terrio,
Aye.
Willie,
Aye.
aye. Through that, we get old business, we don't have anything there. Reports and discussion by mayor and council members. I'll start with you, Mark. Anything on your mind you want to throw out there?
No, thank you.
Okay, I'll go to Dan next.
Nothing, sir, thank you.
John?
All right, so the building committee met last week, okay, and we discussed the projects with the municipal buildings. We were introduced, actually, gentleman from NMDC come and spoke to us about a project that's coming up, being presented through Senator Angus King's office, about 15 municipalities in the state that have been targeted to have a building, target your own building, and basically rehab the whole building through energy efficient means, okay? I'm just going to summarize this real quick. They would take care of the design, the implementation, the complete overhaul of making a building very energy efficient. And the building we targeted was the library. The building is probably, the Caribou Library is probably one of the most least energy efficient buildings in our community at JCAM. And okay, I'll get this right, okay? But we it's free money. It's like a gift from God. It's like literally somebody just come down from heaven, a little leprechaun come down and said, "Here, Johnny, here you go," But it's wicked, wicked cool. So we have to have a letter of endorsement, okay, that Penny's going to draft, and we submit to him, and then you're doing it, okay?
I've already done it.
Okay, already done it, okay, so, and we submit it to them, and it's potentially, this program could happen in 2024. It's a phenomenal deal, it's a hell of a deal, so, really cool. At the same time, we also discussed the issues that we have with the fire station improvements we're trying to do. I want to thank City Manager for the updated emails you sent over the last 2 or 3 days in regards to the appropriations that we already have in place to fund our projects, everything from retaining walls and all this other stuff. The money is there, now we just got to do it, okay? Which we're going to be meeting again here, hopefully here the next week or two, to finalize and make some firm decisions on which way we're going to go. We currently are right now, we're removing the pellet boiler system from the fire station, as well as the HVA system, and plans to do a bunch of other stuff. City Manager has submitted a proposal to Senator Collins' office, because one of the biggest problems we have with the fire station is housing, okay? It's housing, male and female, and this whole big deal thing here. So, and the plan is to renovate the Lions building, which is probably one of the most underutilized facilities that can accent the use of the fire station with some improvements. So we put in money for that. So we're going to be looking again to facilitate the getting these improvements done at the fire station that we can do, that we set money aside for. Biggest problem we had in trying to do is that when we set this money aside last year, it was too late. It's too late in the year, and if we're not careful right now, it's going to be too late to do a few other things. So, but we are meeting. We're going to be moving forward to creating some improvements down there. So that's what I'd like to say. Oh, and I would thank Pastor for remembering Danny Raymond. He was a very dear friend of mine, and I encourage all the citizens of Caribou to come out 1:30 Sunday and watch the procession. I think if you've never seen something like this, it's going to be quite amazing, and encourage you to participate in that evening, in that day. He was quite a guy, very dear friend of mine, and I just want to encourage everybody to come bring your kids. It's quite a thing to see. Anyways, thank you.
Okay, Courtney?
Nothing for me, thank you.
I do have a couple things. I was invited today to be part of a retired teacher panel for the 8th grade students of CCS, and there were probably, I want to say about 9-10 of us, people who taught in and around Caribou, or but are all retired. And the 8th grade students were asking us questions about what it was like to teach in the olden days. What it was like to teach, and but also what school was like when we went through school.
Chalkboards, yeah.
And I had a pretty unique perspective of everyone there, because some of their concerns were, were you allowed to pray in school? Well, I went to a Catholic school, so yeah, I was allowed to pray. So, but
cool. Yeah.
it was really interesting, and what they're going to do with the information. They were all on their tablets. I mean, you want to see technology at work. They were all on their tablets typing, and some of them were taping us, and they are going to be making podcast to be used out at the Historical Museum on Prescow Road.
That's cool.
And so they're doing, this will be with the school section, and they have different pieces. So it was really a lot of fun, and I wasn't the oldest one there. Dwight Hunter came.
You even had a name drop there, didn't you? We're on TV, so there you go. Hope he's not wrong.
Well,
Hope
what was
he is.
kind of neat with that is, because my husband was there as well, and Kim Barnes was the teacher who, along with her team, pulled this all together. And she had my husband for a teacher, and my husband had Dwight for a teacher, so they did. And then she had a young lady who wants to be a teacher, so they had a 4-generation thing. Second piece is good news. Our show choirs have qualified for states, which the competition will be this Saturday in Millinocket. But both CCS show choir, high school show choir, and Woodland show choir will be putting on a performance at the CPAC on Wednesday at 6. And this is kind of a practice for them to be in front of an audience, so more people who can be there would be great. And they are asking for a $1 donation for the scholarship fund for, I was going to say Vaughn McLaughlin, but no. Oh, shoot, who? Thank you, Ken Matthews. So that money will be going to the Ken Matthews Fund, but good chance to see the little ones are, well, they're not little, but are doing Shrek, and the olders, the high school kids are doing Mean Girls. I'm not sure what Woodland's doing. So anyway, kind of a fun night if you can make it.
Round out the meeting with some good news.
Yeah, good news.
In between.
It doesn't cost much.
We had a highway protection meeting on March 16th. Let's see, Councilor Willie, Councilor Gahn was there by Zoom, Dave Willett, Penny, myself, and we went over the scope of work. And so I'm glad that he's sitting here tonight, so if I mess up, you can set me straight. But the road paving, he said, same as past years, paving instead of chip seal, whatever the money allows or whatever. Filling potholes, that's ongoing, of course. Repairing of sidewalks, because there's been a lot of talk about that, and the sidewalks, the condition that they're in. And the way it's done is that when they pave a street, they rebuild the sidewalks. When the sidewalk needs repair and it's not going to be repaved, and at that time then they do what they can to fix the sidewalk till the street is repaved. Relocation of light poles and widening of a section of the River Road. Subject near and dear to my heart, really. And so, Versant has agreed to move the poles over, and we're going to have, the city will be doing a temporary alignment that can be done by moving those poles to over where the houses used to be a little bit, so that we can have more of a 2-lane rather than a lane and a half sometimes if there's snow there. And you were going to check for any more damage on before anything starts, to make sure that the road's not moving or anything. And thankfully, you put up a street light where that pole was right sitting just about on the road, and maybe it's going to come on pretty soon, so we'll be able to use that. And let's see. Did you take a ride and see, we were talking about the street lights, because some of the people had complained that they weren't all on. So, have you had a chance to do that?
Yeah, so I've been through some of the neighborhoods.
Dave, you want to come to the microphone so people at home can hear you, in case somebody at home wants to know about the light.
So I've not been through all of the in-town sections, but the further you get into an in-town section, it does become dark. I don't know exactly where all the lights used to be. I would highly recommend that every intersection have a light on it regardless. There are a few streetlights that are out that are just burnt, and I think the manager has put in a request, a real term for repairs on them. But to be honest with you, I have not heard a lot of complaints around about it being dark in neighborhoods. And it would be my recommendation that we try to at least address any of the intersections, because that lights a pretty good broad area, so.
Yeah.
And I felt that same way about country roads too, so I don't ask for one and not the other.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe that all roads should have them, so.
Good. Thank you.
If you'd like, I can actually do a more detailed, I can actually do that during the day to find out, you know, how many intersection or would be missing. I'd also like to let you know that the Versant has actually done some pole changes up in the airport area.
Yeah.
And that was done because some of them poles was behind the houses, and because of that, they couldn't get to them in the winter or in the spring if something went wrong. I noticed that they put some identification markers on 3 of their poles, and I really didn't know how that had come about, because it had not been mentioned to the manager or I about that, but that was something done internally. The FAA says that anytime a utility company does anything with poles within a 1-mile diameter of the airport, they have to have approval from the FAA, which they did, and when it came back, it was the FAA that said them 3 poles had to have lights. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but the light that's right at the vacuum place right on the corner, it hasn't worked in a long time.
No, corner Rose Street, that's darker in a pocket up there.
Yeah, so that's another area that we should discuss, because a pole got removed from there that had a light on it.
Yes.
In your neighborhood and down there's actually 4 poles that have been replaced, and the lights are not back on. It is not Versant's problems to get the lights back on. They took them down. We have them in our possession at the Public Works. Your street is a bad one.
Yep.
Where the old light was, you could put it right back there, but I think if we moved it across the street, put it right in the very corner, that could serve as 2 purposes.
Yep. Corner of Bennett Drive and High Street, that's dark there too, on that intersection down there.
So what we have to look at is to see if there's lights there and they're just out.
Well, yeah, it's dark there.
So another problem that we'll have to address at some point is right down here on Hatch Drive, right in the S.W. Collins area, coming through the Masonic Lodge area. That's dark. Yeah, I don't believe that that's just lights. I believe that's power cords. If anyone happens to look, you'll notice that some of them large aluminum poles, there's wire strung from light to light across the top. Well, that never was like that. Them all have underground wires. The wires over the years become corroded or broke, so there's wires across the top. At some point, we'll have to address that as well, so.
Back to Joan.
Yeah, and there's just one more thing. The safety of the snowmobile traffic on the bridge, I've encountered a couple of times when the snowmobiles are coming off the trail that goes on the old railroad track up by the dam. When they come off of there, they've been turning and coming down on the left-hand side of the road. And I've met head-on with them a couple of times, and a couple of other people that live in the area have said the same thing. So I did talk to Gary Markey,
Yeah.
and he's agreed to, and he was gonna, I think, talk to you or something, I'm not sure, but to put up some signs so that they could see when they come to keep right when they get onto there.
Yeah.
Because even though the snowmobile season is almost done, I think the ATVs will start doing the same thing, so we're gonna have them.
So you have talked to Gary about it?
have, yeah.
Okay. I think Gary's still on with us too, in case he has
Yeah.
anything to say. I guess not.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll wrap up here with a discussion of the mayor and council members.
Thanks.
We have next regular meetings April 10th, April 24th, and I think we discussed everything,
Just have one last thing, just.
one last question.
Just one last question. For the general public to know, there's a public hearing that's going to be held in Presque Isle Wednesday in regards to proposed 31% rate increase by Versant. It's been posted, 31% rate increase. It's a public hearing being done by the PUC. I encourage all people to get the details of it. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to be, but it has been advertised, and go. So 31% is a rather significant increase, so whether it happens or not is one thing, so that's it for me. Make a motion for adjournment.
Oh, geez, there you go.
Second.
We gotta do roll call, because Bagley.
Aye.
Palmer.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
Stereo.
Aye.
Willie.
Aye.
I guess I'm gonna have to go with the aye on this.
I was gonna say no, just to be.
Just I could.
You would have loved